Hello again. Now, little plug and play boxes, converters and interfaces are a big part of our workflow now. With all manner of signals and standards to deal with, we all need it to talk to each other seamlessly.
Yeah, much of the industry is now embarking on remote production. SDI, NDI and SRT are becoming vital parts of the production process, and of course converting to and from all of these signals.
Digi-Box have a long history of supporting users in these areas, and now they've introduced a new family of products to help the streaming process.
Yeah, and that family is Kiloview, one of the most influential and fast-moving companies in the video streaming industry today, with a comprehensive range of NDI, SRT and SDI encoders, decoders, converters, and so on.
So we're welcoming back to the studio Marc Risby to tell us a bit more about this partnership with Digi-Box and the range of solutions on offer. Hi, Marc.
Hi, good afternoon.
So, hi, I only heard about Kiloview in probably the last 12 months and really only seen more of them since lockdown. That might be just me. Are these the new kids on the block?
I guess no and yes. I mean, certainly in their own name, Kiloview, have been making more of a name recently. They've been around for 10 years. They've also been around as an OEM. Right. So they've been making products for other people. So they're one of these, right. These people that you've seen but never realised.
And where are they sitting in the market, Marc? Who's their target audience?
Well, it's a very broad target audience, as a lot of things are when you start getting into the streaming world. Their end users are corporates, they're broadcasters, they're one-man bands up to multinationals. I mean, their products range from a few £100 upwards, but fit into some of the most complex workflows as well. So, some of these products could even fit into the CCTV world, but yet we're also doing broadcast links on them, between stadiums and broadcasters. So, they're very much not quite an everyman product, but they do have wide applications.
Is there a sort of a particular product range? Is there sort of, let's say some cherries in there that particularly attracted you to speaking with them and getting this relationship going? What are they good at?
Absolutely, there are. Yeah, I mean, I think you touched upon it earlier on. How do we connect all these disparate systems together? We're talking about things in the video domain. So we're talking about SDI and HDMI in the sort of baseband world. Then we've got things in the middle like NDI, that's doing a link, perhaps, using IP to replace a baseband type link. Then we've got all the protocols that sit in the remote world. So, the UDPs, the RTMPs, the SRTs, things that are allowing us to go over the public internet or over a network for final delivery. So how do you mix all of those things together? And in fact, how do you go between some of those protocols? How do you go between some of those streaming protocols? I've got a camera that produces one. How do I make another? So I guess that's where Kiloview really fit. That they offer products that work in each of those places and all of those places to make an end-to-end, system viable.
So give us an idea, Marc, of the top product, their best-selling product, and what it does.
So their encoders are very versatile. So they could take in, say, video that's SDI or HDMI or NDI, and they work in both the full and the HX form of NDI, which has been quite unusual. So they can take the whole range. That product can then encode the video to something to deliver over the public internet, and it can actually make multiple versions of that. So, for example, I may use the SRT protocol, Secure Reliable Transport, to send that video over the public internet to a decoder. That's a great application for a remote broadcaster. If I'm doing my piece to camera from home, like I am now, indeed, I could be sending that back to the mothership using SRT, at sort of relatively high bit rates, 5 to 15 megabits, so for broadcast contribution. But that same encoder could also produce a stream that could go out to a CDN to be delivered to the public, over the public internet again, but to a streaming platform. And streamed at a much lower bit rate, and in fact do the same thing at the same time. You could use that in that sort of application, perhaps for doing a high-res contribution feed and a low-res proxy feed that perhaps could go somewhere else, maybe to a director or a producer or whatever. So, their encoders are very flexible because they have all of these tools on board. And then they have lots of sort of derivatives of that. So they have a lovely encoder that's got a built-in battery pack that can sit on top of a camera, that can stream over 4G and 5G over Wi-Fi. They can stream NDI wirelessly. They can stream SRT wirelessly. So, you know, lots of devices to make sort of productions work in places that just wouldn't have made sense, you know, just a few years ago.
And so, with all that range, and obviously that, you know, this range has evolved over a few years. Are there, you know, there's varying you know, degrees of investment, if you like. Is it an expensive brand, or is it good value? Is it cheap? Where does it sit?
It's very good value. I mean, you know, some of their encoders start, you know, at the very lowest end at, you know, just a few hundreds of pounds, but, you know, certainly a few thousands of pounds gives you access to a really, you know, broad selection of their range. They're very good value for money. They manufacture themselves, you know, they design in-house. Their products from, you know, I say we've just started working with them, but from what we've seen so far, they've been very well built. You know, they've got broadcast in mind, little things, latching power connectors, you know, power over Ethernet to simplify, you know, how you deploy these things. But they've ticked a lot of boxes, you know, with the way the products work. Their software systems you know, are very well done. They're mature. They've got lots of diagnostic tools to help you set these, you know, these systems up, which can be not, you know, they're not always a simple system. You could be linking together 3 or 4 different systems on a network with different protocols and different IP networks. And, you know, the more tools and the more information you can get back to you, you know, makes your life a lot easier as a user. So, you know, whilst their products, you know, are good value, they're also not cutting in features and cost. In fact, I've certainly seen more features in some of their products than boxes that are several times the price.
So we're going to let you off the last question that we normally ask everyone, because we already know about your record-breaking Congo secret. But maybe you know, since then you can share with us something that you've learnt during COVID that might be worth sharing with us.
I guess from a company point of view and a technical point of view, really, you know, I called this a little while ago in an interview, a magazine interview, as our Apollo 13 moment. You know, it's a film that I love. It's a story that I love. You know, and it's one of the few things where the engineers are the heroes. It's not just the astronauts. So if you think about Apollo 13, you had to get something working based on what they had on board. You couldn't do anything else. You had no other options. And if you look at that, it's very analogous to what we've seen. When lockdown first kicked in, engineers were pretty much given license to try stuff. You know, things that before a broadcaster would never have done. You know, I've had these conversations in the past. Well, this is how we do contribution. We won't do it any other way. We must do this because it's the best. That gradually shifted to people saying, this works. And engineers were given the license just to try it, get out there and give me a solution that gets me a picture back. And I think what a lot of us have learned is that for many applications, good enough is good enough. It's that actually quite often we've over-designed systems and not necessarily, you know, been able to take advantage of newer technologies that actually deliver incredible pictures. And if you look now, you know, I don't know how long we're into this, 6 months into this, we're seeing a lot of pictures come back from places we would have never had live video before. And quite often it looks, you know, pretty phenomenal. There's some rubbish out there, but quite often it looks phenomenal. Watching the coverage of the US elections, you know, as most of us were avidly watching TV, the number of people contributing, you know, back from just weird locations was amazing. And that is in no small part, you know, by the uses of technologies like the stuff from Kiloview, like SRT, like NDI, all things that enable you to use much, you know, lower cost products and deploy them massively, but yet still get them back to a central location where you can, you know, put it into your broadcast chain. So, you know, I think to summarize there, you know, good enough is often good enough, and it's definitely worth trying things.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Marc, for coming on once again. Thanks for watching, of course. To see all of our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to KitPlus TV, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy, and you can find out more about them at mediaproxy.com. Thanks for watching.